You and I together have taken some time to witness pieces of XANDRIA's past, certainly in its foundational years as a band, going back all the way into 2004, departing from the original path that I foresaw where whenever it was that Neverworld's End debuted, 2011, 2012, that's as far as we dug before, right? In our current study of XANDRIA's history, from a survey of their works, whether it be, notably as I left you, in foreseen path, between the window of time that, with the vocal talents leading the group, Manuela Krailer, Diana van Giersbergen, or Amber Verhees, of presence voices have been active. We're studying all three of those. But in connection to Fire and Ashes, of which I covered the first three original pieces, and you might remember I took a break from that to jump right into A Theater of Dimensions, but I promised you we would return, I thought it would be respectful to the credit that two of the numbers happen to be covers of other artists, and we'll get to those in a minute, but explicitly with the covers of their own work, or alternate versions, as they call it. I thought it would be respectful, in the spirit of covers, to go back to the original pieces that inspired a reinvention and to witness the comparisons and the adaptation between. We do that all the time with covers, right? We study how pieces are streamlined in spirit of the original or variate, and there's a wide field of decision on what is applied there. I don't know what we're going to hear with RAVENHEART, but I thought it was quite a welcome opportunity and a good decision on my end, certainly for my own enjoyment, but maybe for you as well, right? I don't know how you approach, by the way, and if you approach being a familiarized XANDRIA fan or a new listener, I hope you feel welcome here again. Music is best enjoyed in company. I feel, especially on first approach, we've generally taken with XANDRIA, a favorite group of mine from the symphonic metal sphere of German origin for anybody who doesn't yet know that name, and maybe this could be a pitched opportunity for you. I would recommend on entrance you go and witness RAVENHEART for yourself again in its original condition back from its 2004 release of the album of the same name, when Lisa Middelhoff was leading the group. And her voice, though not to the, at least from the two numbers I witnessed with that and Now and Forever, not to the same operatic extent of what has dominated XANDRIA since Neverworld's End, with Manuela, Diana, and Amber all considered in that. Lisa's voice is much softer, definitely appeals more to what I would say is like a pop rock dynamic or power ballad. I think, to be fair, it's a good mixture of those. But it's an equally competent vocal delivery, in its own way. But it definitely appeals to XANDRIA. I see them of, roots long ago that are still existent today, subtly. And yes, XANDRIA has definitely adapted more into a band that's quite aggressive on face with their power and symphonic metal styling, of which, again, symphonic metal permits a wide direction on where certain artists go, at least in my opinion, on tone. And you still see that versatility maintained between softer and harsher numbers of XANDRIA from, really any recent release that we've inquired on together, and will be inquiring on, not to spoil anything. I've made some recent decisions that have actually made this journey a little longer. I think you'll like where we're going. Anyway, although it's been the story of XANDRIA, and I've made so many, in like many groups in this channel, that we recognize, and it's quite a wide pool of talent in the music sphere, I readily changed my schedule. And I did so for XANDRIA, just again on the fact that these are inspired numbers from their foundational years. But now we're going to hear a reinvention from Fire and Ashes, or at least of that era, when Diana van Giersbergen was leading the group. You know her, favorite singer of mine, again with an operatic extreme, of which I discovered the name, of course, on my own, certainly in association to XANDRIA. I kept hearing people talking about Diana, and now having humored fully Sacrificium and A Theater of Dimensions, not only in our mutual interaction, but on numerous repeat listens. And her own solo work and some of her collaborations. Again, I've been telling you before to go back into the original path of where I left you with XANDRIA. Months past, I mentioned this on the earlier RAVENHEART video, it's been about 2 months since I've gotten back to not only covering XANDRIA where I last left you with A Theater of Dimensions, but really any artist. I took a bit of a break, unforeseen on my part, but I'm jumping in finally with XANDRIA again. This is what is reinitiating me. I've been waiting to get back here for... I love covering music, and again, enjoying it with you. I think it's best enjoyed collaboratively. I feel it really enriches the process beyond just a solo listen, which is fine, and XANDRIA is great for that too, but to discover them with all of you has been a wonderful opportunity that I feel quite honored to not only be leading you, but to exploring these numbers for myself for the first time listen. It's really a wonderful encounter. I've loved this voice. I'm nearing my 1-year anniversary in terms of following this group and being first introduced, and I cannot wait for that day to approach. I've had a great time, and XANDRIA, you've been witness to my story with this group. It truly has been a beautiful encounter that I've loved every step of the way. I am sure going back into Fire and Ashes, an EP that, with regard to the first 3 original songs, I really loved, especially Unembraced. I can't get enough of that one. But let's see where Ravenheart goes with Diana. Right now, again, XANDRIA of any era I love. And the introduction I had of only 2 numbers to Lisa's time in the group, equally enjoyable in its own way. But Diana, one of my favorites. Of which, as I've been saying, right? It's not only the XANDRIA journey we're taking together. For anybody, again, who's approaching on fresh steps, the XANDRIA history survey is quite robust. But there's a second part to this, right? If we're going to take the XANDRIA history survey and include Diana, that should include a Diana history survey, and we're doing that with XANDRIA as well, finishing this out with only 4 more numbers to go, and then we'll get to some of our other steps. But let's return to XANDRIA and finish out our journey of time with her with this group, which is, I've said, a stellar window of their library. And again, XANDRIA of any era I like, but this was a real high point. Let's return to it. I've been waiting for this. All right, Ravenheart. How will this sound with Diana? And how will the numbers sound? Let's discover it together. Changes? Similarities? Let's witness. And this is XANDRIA of today. Will there be a tone departure? Let's see. Maybe they'll... No, it's definitely in spirit. Same beautiful score. Feels remastered though. Slightly, at least from what I heard. It's really cool to hear different vocal extremes. Dutch versus German. But Diana does a really good job of preserving... Yeah, Lisa's voice is still there. It's interesting though how Diana switches it. It's in the subtlety you see the departure points. The pronunciation of evil, for example, the vibrato. But the main body of her vocals definitely follows in suit. You know I've really got a love for opera right now, so just to hear that extreme again. To return to it. I love the way she pronounces evil. It's like evil. I love it. Boy, she just glows. As I said, this is a transcendent song. Score-wise, it's displaced beautifully between past and present. This new alteration, it's not really an alteration, but the alternate version, it still feels like the past. Right in line. You know, it's a tall order for, I think, any artist, certainly in consideration, to put themselves in a position of trying to embody the voice of the original number, as I'm sure we've all witnessed of covers, right? And it's certainly in our time together, any cover we've had the privilege of surveying on mutual encounterance, I've thought to be quite great and explicitly reverential in their own means. That's what makes covers so fascinating, is you see such a wide pool of ability demonstrated and different decisions made by artists on how to transcribe a work and readapt it or try their hand at it. I consider, again, taking a tune from the past. It's not as challenging when you say, okay, we're going to keep the tone of the musical score right in line with the original invention. And that's very much the body of RAVENHEART here, though it definitely feels like a remastered version, just slightly. There's a little quality of that, I think it's at least was noticeable to me. But despite that, remastered or not, it's still the same score. Same key, same choices. It's very explicitly RAVENHEART. And I wondered where it could go. Right? Is it going to change keys? Is it going to stay in line? I mean, it's XANDRIA's own number, right? They're open to do whatever they want. And I think the decision to keep it right in line was a good one. Because I explicitly see the song that I fell in love with on first appearances. With Diana's voice, though. Lisa was great. I love how Diana makes it her own, but maintains Lisa's voice. And it's in the ballad, it's in the verse sections where I really notice it. On that, now again, Diana, this woman's incredibly talented. I mean, I almost can't put into words just my level of reverence for listening to her sing. It's just an incredible experience. Look at the variation of her voice and the ability. To watch her, though, take the song and employ her beautifully welcome operatic tones. I love that, whether in the background or forefront, it's welcome. And naturally integrated. To see as well the departure on, slightly with accents, right? Dutch and German. It is noticeable. Notably in the pronunciation of evil. For some reason, just the way her voice hits, to me. It's really impressive listening to this song. Again, seeing the obvious individual tailoring on capability, and yet not forgetting the roots that establish the song and preserving, in some sense, like a phantom in a way, Lisa's vocals. That essence to what originally defined RAVENHEART to me is still there. Fascinatingly, and it is in those verse sections I see it explicitly. There's change, an obvious switch within the choruses, namely, and that's when you really see the operatic tones fleshed out. But, oh my goodness, I love this song so much. Just on the testing that ambition and fulfilling it. Again, that's a tall order, I think. To take a song and make it one's own, and yet imbue the same foundational vocal spirit. When we're speaking about the vocalists, to maintain that voice, to do so evenly. It helps that the way this is translated, it's sectional. For me, at least in the way that I would explain that, Lisa's voice comes the most naturally to me for the verses, and then the choruses become more Diana. Even though it's Diana singing, of course. Truly, I'm really impressed with this. Again, same number, same instrumental, explicitly. There's not much change there. Maybe a slight emboldening, though it felt the same to me. Maybe identical or not. I don't know. I'd have to go back and maybe listen to each again right in line. But I hear the same body of the score. I'm sure we all do if we know RAVENHEART, right? But the vocals, truly, every encounter we have with XANDRIA, or anything she's tied to, my perception of her capabilities become even more enhanced. Even in the cover territory. Complex number, complex alternative version. Beautifully managed, though. I have no doubt at all when it comes to Diana, but even now, it's like mind-blown moment. It's impressive, isn't it? This is the first walking in for you to Diana's talents. Oh, wow. That's a great entrance, but many more for you to go on in terms of your time with her. And we're going to have, as I said, a wider Diana study, right? That's what our XANDRIA study commenced, and what we're getting to, broadening out with the couple of final steps I've not gotten to yet, notably Ex Libris. But we're finishing out XANDRIA and her time with the group, which really, as I've said, was a golden time for them. And for any window, that's true, but Diana really was just a beautiful asset to this group when she was leading it vocally. And RAVENHEART is a great demonstration of this, but again, the cover respect, committing a respectable balancing act, honoring the past while so intentionally making the song one's own, and doing so just equally well and clearly. I think it's in the clarity of the voice that just really gets me with that. It's impressive. RAVENHEART, as told in 2015, obviously, considering the score is as great as its first encounter, its base work, but even how it's fleshed out in the new, that's really impressive. What do you think about that? It's an experience, really, Diana is, and anything we come across. But with XANDRIA, man, there's so many new layers to unpack with each number we explore. In the covers, we've not had that opportunity yet. They did cover their more recent work. I'm thinking of In Present Standing, My Curse Is My Redemption with the 80s remix, but that's definitely a different case. In its own way, it was great. But RAVENHEART, wow. The intention with that number really gets me, and I hope it does for you as well. Maybe that was your first encounter to RAVENHEART and XANDRIA. And what do you think of it? Feel free to share if you wish to. One more to go, right, in terms of this cover respect, and we're going to see how Now and Forever is translated. I'm really curious about that one. I'm expecting we're going to have a very similar case of the voices of Elisa and Diana, in effect, though it's Diana, paired together and maintained in the number equally well. That one really gets me with RAVENHEART. I'm sure Now and Forever will be just as adept. I have no doubt at all with that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.